Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Succession Season 3, Episode 5 review. Now, at some point during this video, I get the feeling that someone's going to come in with like a note that we're going to have to look at, and then we're just going to have to like start stalling and talking about much ado about nothing or whatever.
Poor Frank. Frank was really the star of this episode. He just was on and on and on until, of course, when it actually mattered, then
Yeah.
that was taken away from him. Frank.
Frank, let's be frank here. Frank needs probably a bigger raise than anyone else on there. I love Frank just like at one point being like, screw it. I see Jerry. I'm just gonna call Jerry up here. She's gonna have to deal with this now.
You know what? Frank is screwed over all the time. I was fine with it.
This episode is so unbelievably absurd. Like I don't even know how to do. It was incredible. Like inject this episode into my veins at least like 8 times. It might be my favorite episode of the whole season.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was chaotic. There were a lot of really good moments in there. A
Yeah.
lot of, moments that sort of even touched my heart, even though I knew something was
Yeah.
wrong. Like when Logan turned to Tom and was like, "Thank you, son." I was like,
Oh.
something is really wrong here.
Yeah. Like there's some surprisingly emotional moments, and in my heart there is a true MVP who is rising from the ashes in this episode.
And
But
it's Frank.
it could be Frank. Frank is in second place. This is the tease. Who will be the MVP? Okay, whatever. All right, hit that subscribe button because guess what? We are here every week talking about Succession, the highs, the lows, the craziness, the Greg wanting to sue Greenpeace. It doesn't matter. We are here to talk all about it, and we don't want you guys to miss out.
We're also covering Dexter here at the channel. Next weekend, we've got Power Book 2 is back.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of good stuff here, so hit that subscribe button and don't miss out.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about your MVP.
On-
You pulled it out.
On a scale of 1 to 100, how wonderful is Connor Roy in this episode? Because Connor goes full idiot, and yet he is full idiot savant in this episode. Like, can we count down the ways that Connor is wonderful here? Starting with number one, him finessing himself a job that Logan never approved of, that he's just acting like magically happened before Logan developed the UTI. Like,
Yeah.
that is tremendous. Number two, there was a part of it during all of this where I seriously thought they were going to tell Connor to go out there on stage and stall, which there is nothing in my life I would have wanted more than that.
No one was telling Connor to go out there and stall, but I could have seen Connor telling Connor to go out there and stall.
Then you had when the president is calling in, Connor wanted to be put in coach like so badly, and then when he hears that the president is not, Connor's like booyah dance. Give me a gif of that. Send it to my email every day, and I will never be sad again.
Okay, I agree. Connor over Frank.
Connor, listen. I would watch a spin-off of just like Connor yelling at people in a supermarket for an hour, and it would warm my heart.
What also warmed my heart was Roman in this episode. He had a couple wins in this episode. He also was really the only child that cared what was going on with his dad. And I know that we've talked about this before here at the channel, that Roman really is the one kid that just can't sort of get past the neglect that his parents had on all of them. He really is there for his dad when the chips are down, where everybody else has an angle. When things are really bad, Roman really is put everything else aside. Like you just want to you just want to inject his veins with adrenaline and throw him on stage.
Yeah.
Our dad is having a problem. Can you just be, a human for a second and care about him?
It's so amazing that like so many of these characters are just like despicable and self-centered.
Including Roman.
And that is the thing here. Even, Roman is the one-eyed rat in the kingdom of the blind, and I can make this joke because I'm blind. And it is just sort of like Roman somehow, just by having like a shred of empathy, and just for like, having some element of a heart, like you have been on the Roman corner for a long time as one of the best characters, and I am with you in this episode. I love the moment where Jerry is like, Roman, you should speak to the president. I thought that was kind of sweet.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know Jerry and Roman have something special between
Yeah.
them, but she did say that when she was taking on this position of sort of the CEO for now, that she was going to offer to Roman to sort of mentor him and sort of help bring him up. And I thought that was great the moment that she said, listen, the person that needs to talk to the president, it needs to be Roman. She's trying to give him what he needs the most, which is confidence,
Yeah.
because throughout this series, Roman has said and shown that he has good ideas. He's very smart. It's just no one will take him seriously because he doesn't take himself seriously. He'll always end every good idea with, if you want to, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. And you know that he does care, but he just has this armor on him to show that he doesn't care and that he's as tough as everybody else, but he really isn't. There's just no room in this family to have a heart, and that's sort of the sad truth of this family. That's why when you do see these moments where, you know, Jerry's on stage and she mentions Roman and you see him kind of walk by and look at the screen, and there's a little half smile there where he's like, you know, his love tank is being filled.
It really is. And the thing about Roman that I loved even the timing of Jerry sort of saying he should talk to the president, because
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like Roman, if he had had time to think about this, it probably would have gone so much worse for him. He may have tried to come up with some sort of reason to run away, but he was just like on the spot. There was no other option. He had to be the one to do it. At first, he was screwing up. You could see him be like, how's it going? And then he was just like wanting to punch himself in the head, but he got
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah, I think that Jerry's approach to try to get Roman a little more confidence is you do need to not give him time to think about it. And there's just so much that I love about Roman. I was actually just talking to my dad the other day because I'd been pushing him and pushing him and pushing
Yeah.
him to watch this show because it's right up his alley, and he
Mhm.
finally has. And Roman's also his guy. I thought he was going to say Kendall because everybody loves Kendall and Kendall is great. But I'm a Roman girl, and when he was like, "Oh yeah, I love Roman," I was like, "Yeah, Dad, we
Meanwhile,
the same."
everybody come on over to Connor's Corner where I talk obnoxiously about the wonderful idiot that is Con. No, I loved Roman in this episode. I think we got so many good moments, and he was there to convey. I mean, really, it's a very important deal that the president is not going to run for a re-election, and now all of
Yeah.
a sudden, like, they're losing an enormous source of information. All these back channels that they have are just going to go.
Yeah, and this is partially their fault because they did not decide to control what was going to be being said about him, because Logan wanted to push the president to get him what he wanted, and now he's got this. The
Yeah.
president is not going to run again, and now they've got nothing.
There were,
Well done, Logan.
there were so many different
Taking an
messages.
L.
Logan, you know, you can't spell Logan without L, and you know there were plenty of them. The thing with him is that the real fundamental question, I think, at the heart of this episode is, you know, we saw Logan be very dismissive of the private jet part of the stipulation here in this deal with Sandy and Stewie, and it kind of the question becomes, you know, if Logan was of sound mind during all of this and didn't have this UTI thing going on, would he have taken an even larger L here? Because would he have completely tanked all this, gone to a vote, and fundamentally lost?
He absolutely would have. I think he would have. The biggest problem, and Shiv said this, is sort of like the managing of egos. There is a delicate balance with this, and that's why seeing that meeting with her and Sandy too.
Yeah.
Sandy's daughter, Sandy also.
Yeah.
It was really important, where it was sort of like, we both kind of don't have a place here. Let's try to, while Logan's down, let's try to make a place for both of us, since we are both working for our dads and our dads are sort of dragging us around. This is our time to both have seats here on the board. So let's do this. I don't think that Logan would have done that. And that's why at the end of it all, when they were explaining to Logan, okay, this is what we've done, he felt like he had taken an L, that this was nothing to really celebrate.
Yeah, and guess what, Logan? You're wrong, because this is something to celebrate. You guys would have been in such a disaster zone, and I really love that this was a win for Shiv in a way, because Shiv has taken her fair share of huge L's this season.
Oh yeah.
She hasn't been respected. She had everything that happened during her big speech earlier this season, and I think it was important for Succession to sort of show us again. Shiv is very competent. Like, she is very smart. She's good at manipulating and reading the room, and she sort of recognized, okay, nobody else is going to step up. I can step up here. I can sort of manipulate Sandy or Sandy 2 in a way because I understand what it's like to be Sandy 2. And then I can give her a win and give myself a win at the same time.
Yeah, this is really the only way that any of the kids are able to get a leg up is if they're able to make decisions while Logan is down. Because one of the things that Sandy and Stewie were asking for was basically to have a veto on if any of the children would ever really get to step up into the CEO position.
I just have to say in general, like, all of the negotiating was just obnoxious and also hilarious at times, because the veto thing is like something that's like substantial and incredibly important and can shape the future of the company. And yet that negotiation was so much quicker than the I don't want a private jet, which is somehow then more important and significant. It was just like face palming the entire time. I hope we get to see Roman on like a writing commercial now and like Coach or something like that. Give me what that looks like.
Well, it was also interesting to watch Kendall on the other side of this because he was negotiating a lot here. He's had a long relationship with Stewie.
Yeah.
And even though it does sort of go back and forth with them, and they both, of course, have their own interests, he was able to continuously try to smooth things out and get people talking and all that sort of thing. So it was interesting by the end of this where Logan felt that he took an L. Kendall did take a W on this where he was able to sort of negotiate and smooth things out. That move by Logan at the end to be like, Kendall, wait for me in this room, organize it. Yeah, Logan wants to talk to you. Just wait in this room. That moment that she came in and said, Logan's left. It was so cruel to do that to him and then to block him.
Yeah.
But it was a power move. He wanted him to know, I can make you wait for me and I don't have to show up and you will wait for me.
Yeah, it was ultimately retaliation. Kendall tried once again to make this whole shareholder conference about him. He wanted to go up there and do his speech. And I do wonder if he knew going up there that they were probably going to cut off his mic at some point, and he sort of had like the abridged version in his head that he would get to in that very moment. But I think he still accomplished his goal, which was, I guess, to administer a certain amount of chaos and get his narrative out there. He is playing a long game, I guess, and clearly he thought at that point, well, I'm not going to be the big winner today, but I can be the big winner a month from now, a year from now. I'm going to take that chance.
He was also a big winner over Greg. I mean, we saw that Greg had gone over to Waystar, and Kendall was saying he's got to burn him. He may have to burn him. He's going to burn him. And how bad is he going to burn him? It sounds pretty bad.
This is like the white hot fury of 1,000 suns back. Greg, you are such an idiot. Like, I'm sorry, Greg. You can go in Connor's corner now and go hang out with him because I know you got bullied by Tom. I know that you were not exactly willingly participating in this deal, but you still signed it. You're still going back to Kendall and being like, hey, buddy, old pal, I hope it's okay. I hope it's like, of course Kendall's going to be mad at you. Of course he's also going to bully and threaten you now.
Yeah. And of course, now Greg's grandfather's mad at him. He's cut him out of the will. And now he wants to give all of Greg's money to Greenpeace.
Yes.
Oh, it was such a ridiculous story. It was funny, but it was ridiculous.
This partially seriously, partially not. Does anyone actually like Greg in this entire family at this point? Because he's basically burned every relationship that he has. His own grandfather doesn't want to give him any money, and now he wants to. I mean, he may have been kind of just being flippant about it, but wanting to sue a charity. Like, this guy has no friends.
Except Tom. Tom will always be there with Greg. The two of them, they're bromance for life.
Listen, Tom may need this bromance with Greg if he's going to continue to keep track of Shiv's fertility and be incredibly uncomfortable with her about it.
Oh my God. Watching that, I was so uncomfortable myself. Just stop it. That was so bizarre.
This is the terrible beauty of a show like Succession, is that we spend like a couple of episodes starting to be like, you know who I really like now? I like Tom. And you start to get behind Tom and you start to root for Tom. And then Tom acts like a total creep in this episode. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know who I really don't like is Tom.
Yeah, listen, I think with how much Tom is spinning out,
Yeah.
I really feel like he's going to end up by the end of this season not part of Logan's crew anymore. Somebody is going to break off from that crew and be over with Kendall. If there is no Kendall-Logan reconciliation, which there may not be. I mean, communication is closed now. We're 5 episodes in.
Yeah, I unless they throw some huge curveball at us, I don't see how that bridge gets repaired. But yeah, I think the Tom of it all is going to be super interesting because the more he is getting closer and closer to this idea of going to prison, and it doesn't seem as though like the Department of Justice is cooling things off here entirely, the more desperate he's going to be, and the more desperate that's when he's going to start kicking things over, because I don't think Tom's going to want to go to prison. I don't think Tom's going to do very well in prison.
I'm still stuck on this sort of idea from last season, which was that Logan and the family felt like Greg and Tom were not big enough fish, that the public was not going to be accepting that someone high enough was going to be going down for this. Tom and Greg are still in the same position. Like, they're not big enough for this. That's why Kendall was supposed to be going down for this, and now he's not. So if you're then still going back to Tom and Greg, it's still the same problem. They're not big enough to take the fall for this.
I just had a really terrifying thought, and I'm kind of even afraid to say it out loud here.
If you say Roman, you can see yourself right out.
I'm gonna have to see myself right out here, because this is I don't want this, but
I don't think Logan would with Roman. Roman is way too dedicated to him.
And I think that is the Shakespearean tragedy of it, where Kendall has spoken out publicly too much. He's not going to be able to implicate Kendall the right way. Shiv, I just don't think optically it's going to work all that well. And I think Logan is such a jerk and such a horrible human being that I think he could take out the one person who loves him the most if that means he gets to have a tiny bit of pride.
Oh, for sure, he would take him out. I just don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it either. Like, it's gonna be.
We're not talking anymore.
Well, then I will tell the camera that this would probably be the first Succession moment that may get me close to crying. Is the idea of Roman being arrested for something like this? But I am worried.
If something like that happened, I feel like Jerry will try to find a way to undo that.
Please, Jerry, don't make me beg almost 19 minutes into this video. I love this episode so much. Like,
it was great.
There's so many just weird, random, funny moments. Roman insulting Kendall, all of the stuff with Tom and Logan in the bathroom. And it's just awkward and weird.
Oh, that Tom moment with Logan. Thank you, son. I was like, something's really wrong.
Tom's approval rating was so high, and he just decided to send that right down into the gutter by the time this episode was over.
I was wondering what was going on with Logan, not just because he was acting a little funny, but he had asked to go to the bathroom 20 times. I'm like, okay, does he have a UTI or something? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, I figured it had to be something too, and they weren't just doing the whole, he's older, he has to go to the bathroom like garbage.
No, it was too often.
Yeah, all right, well, let's hear from you guys. Send us your written notes. I guess you have to do this just on the comment section, but what did you like about this episode? Give us your favorite moments, your least favorite moments, your predictions, and also hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you here next time.